Elena Reyes never existed. Jake Williams was never in danger. Yanis Muller never committed a crime. Yet each of their stories caused real chaos, real loss, and real fear, all because of one terrifying truth. In the age of artificial intelligence, reality is no longer something you can trust. In 2023, the tech industry was dazzled by the sudden rise of a startup called Navinet. It claimed to have developed the world's first AI capable of detecting and neutralizing cyber threats in real time before they cause damage. The company positioned itself as the future of cybersecurity, drawing the attention of investors, journalists, and even government agencies. At the center of the buzz was Elena Reyes, Navinet's CEO. A woman with sharp insight, calm confidence, and an inspiring story, Elena quickly became the face of innovation. Her interviews were shared across major platforms, her keynote speeches quoted by tech leaders, and her LinkedIn following exploded into the millions. She spoke about ethical AI, the dangers of digital surveillance, and how Navinet was building a safer internet for everyone. But none of it was real. Elena Reyes didn't exist. Her face had been generated by a deepfake engine trained on thousands of professional women's images. Her voice was an AI construct, developed with cutting-edge voice synthesis software. Every appearance, every quote, every video call was carefully pre-recorded or digitally manipulated to seem live. The entire persona was created to appear flawlessly human, down to her emotional expressions, mannerisms, and eye contact. No one suspected a thing. Within 8 months, Navinet raised nearly $100 million in funding. Major venture capital firms poured money into what they believed was a revolutionary technology led by a visionary founder. Government agencies expressed interest in partnerships. Tech journalists published glowing reviews of demo software that had never actually been tested in real environments. Meanwhile, every aspect of Navinet's online presence was being polished and optimized by a small team of skilled fraudsters working behind the scenes. Then, without warning, Navinet vanished. One morning, the website was offline. Phone numbers rang endlessly. Elena's social media was deleted in seconds. Investors sent teams to the company's San Francisco headquarters, only to find a rented office suite with empty desks, decorative plants, and unused whiteboards. There were no servers, no employees, nothing but staged photos and abandoned equipment. Forensic analysts concluded it had all been set up for show. There were no real clients, no working product, and no Elena. In less than a year, a group of anonymous criminals had created a company, invented a CEO, tricked an entire industry, and disappeared with millions, leaving behind only questions, digital shadows, and a growing fear. If even our eyes and ears can lie to us, what's left to trust? Not long after the Navinet scandal made headlines, a quieter and more personal kind of deception began surfacing in households across the UK. It started with a single phone call in Manchester. An elderly couple received what seemed to be a desperate call from their grandson, Jake. His voice was unmistakable, shaky, and urgent. He said he had been arrested during a trip to Morocco after a misunderstanding with local authorities. He begged them not to tell his parents, pleaded for help, and gave them instructions to wire over £12,000 to a legal contact. In a panic, they did exactly as he asked. But hours later, Jake walked through the door. He hadn't left the country. He had no idea what had happened. At first, it seemed like an isolated incident, a bizarre prank, or some kind of technical error. But within weeks, similar cases began to emerge. In Birmingham, a woman wired thousands to what she thought was her daughter stranded in Italy. In Glasgow, a grandfather emptied his savings to help a nephew who claimed he'd been mugged abroad. Each time, the voice on the line matched that of the real person. The emotional urgency was convincing. The personal details shared pet names, inside jokes, family events were intimate and specific. It wasn't just identity theft. It was emotional manipulation at an unprecedented level. Investigators soon realized these were not traditional scams. The voices were AI-generated clones, crafted using voice samples publicly available on social media. Young people who had shared their lives through TikTok, YouTube, podcasts, and voice messages unknowingly provided enough material for advanced algorithms to replicate their speech patterns with chilling accuracy. Once a voice was cloned, scammers ran it through real-time voice modulation tools to carry out live phone calls. No scripts, no recordings, just real-time interaction using a fake identity. The emotional damage was severe. Victims spoke of guilt, shame, and betrayal even though their loved ones were never actually involved. Families questioned how something so real could be fake. Authorities struggled to keep up. Unlike traditional scams, these left no clear trace. The calls came from encrypted networks. The funds vanished into cryptocurrency wallets. The technology used was legal, accessible, and frighteningly effective. This wasn't a trick anymore. It was a warning. With nothing more than a few minutes of someone's voice, criminals could fabricate entire realities and in doing so, tear apart the trust that holds families together. As reports of voice-based scams grew, a pattern began to emerge, one that pointed towards something far more organized than simple con artists. The scams followed a method, almost like a system. Victims were carefully selected, conversations expertly tailored, and emotional triggers hit with eerie precision. Eventually, a name surfaced on hidden forums and encrypted message boards: Spectre. No one knew who or what Spectre was, but wherever his name appeared, digital manipulation followed. Spectre operated in silence, never showing a face, never revealing a location. His presence was felt through data leaks, anonymous podcasts, and cryptic audio messages. In one recording, he described the modern world as a system built on blind trust and claimed that AI wasn't the problem, it was the mirror. Authorities initially dismissed Spectre as a myth, a persona meant to distract or confuse. But as evidence piled up, it became clear this was no ghost story. Spectre had built a powerful AI network designed to exploit human behavior. His team scraped vast amounts of public data from social media profiles, family photos, YouTube videos, and even genealogy websites. They used that data to construct emotional blueprints of individuals, detailed psychological profiles that mapped out who they loved, feared, admired, and trusted. From there, AI tools generated convincing voices and even real-time conversations, mimicking everything from tone to hesitation. Each scam was customized. A mother would hear her son crying and begging for help. A business owner would get a call from what sounded like his accountant, asking to urgently transfer funds. Some received video messages that appeared to be real. Spectre's systems could even fabricate short video clips using deepfake avatars of the victim's loved ones' voicemails, selfies, casual updates designed to establish authenticity before the scam unfolded. The money trail was equally sophisticated. Once funds were received, they were immediately converted into crypto, run through privacy-focused blockchains, and sometimes passed through digital art galleries where AI-generated images were sold as NFTs. Each transaction buried the trail deeper, making it nearly impossible to trace. Interpol issued a cyber alert, warning governments and private institutions about the rise in intelligence scams. But Spectre was always a step ahead. When authorities closed one server, another appeared elsewhere. Every time they decoded one method, a new one emerged. Spectre wasn't just committing fraud, he was studying society's weaknesses, learning how to manipulate trust, and turning artificial intelligence into the perfect weapon for deception. It began with a grainy video that spread across social media like wildfire. Just under a minute long, the clip showed a crowded hotel lobby somewhere in Brussels. In the shaky footage, a man approached a well-known political figure, Belgian parliamentarian Theo Martens, and suddenly pulled a knife from his coat. The weapon flashed under the overhead lights before it was plunged into Martin's chest. Screams erupted, people scattered, and the politician collapsed onto the marble floor, unmoving. Blood pooled rapidly beneath him as the attacker ran off screen. Within hours, the video had been viewed millions of times. Hashtags trended globally. News channels broke into live coverage. Protests erupted across Belgium, fueled by accusations, political outrage, and public panic. The man identified in the video, Janus Muller, a local activist known for speaking out against government surveillance, was arrested at his home the same day. Police found him calm, confused, and sitting at his desk live streaming a gaming session with dozens of viewers at the exact time of the supposed attack. Despite the alibi, the footage was damning. Facial recognition software matched his face. His build, clothing, and walk all appeared identical. It wasn't just a blurry resemblance, it looked like irrefutable proof. But something didn't add up. Forensics teams at Europol began examining the video closely. Lighting shadows seemed perfect. Reflections in the marble floor were inconsistent. The crowd in the background appeared almost too still in some frames. It was then they realized the horrifying truth. The entire video was fake. Every element from the lighting to the sounds to the panic had been generated using advanced AI tools. The attacker's face was a deepfake mask, animated frame by frame with high fidelity. Even Martin's fall, complete with blood and facial expressions, had been rendered using machine learning models trained on violent incident footage. The video hadn't just tricked people emotionally, it had fooled biometric systems, media outlets, and law enforcement. The motive was never confirmed. Some believed it was a political smear campaign, others suspected foreign interference. But what mattered more was the precedent it set. A completely synthetic crime had caused real-world consequences: riots, a wrongful arrest, and massive public distrust. The world had reached a new tipping point where fabricated violence could spark actual chaos. For the first time in history, a man had almost been imprisoned for a murder that never happened, based entirely on a crime scene that didn't exist. Months after the synthetic assassination attempt in Brussels, cybersecurity researchers in Singapore made a discovery that sent shockwaves through the global intelligence community. Buried deep within a hidden layer of the dark web, in a section only accessible through multiple encryption layers, they found traces of an AI system unlike anything seen before. It was not designed to mimic a person or clone a voice. It had been built to become someone entirely from scratch. The system, codenamed Chimera, was not a single program but a network of interconnected models. It could generate synthetic humans' identities so complete they could pass most international background checks. With access to leaked databases, it created social media timelines, employment histories, school records, scanned passports, financial activity, and even plausible GPS location data. Chimera didn't just fake a person, it simulated a life. What made Chimera even more dangerous was its ability to learn and evolve. It monitored digital behavior trends: how people typed, what time they were active, what slang they used, even how they hesitated in texts. Then it mimicked those behaviors in real time. It could respond to emails, comment on posts, and hold believable conversations across multiple platforms. These weren't just bots. They were ghosts in the system, digital citizens no one could distinguish from real people. One of the identities Chimera created had already applied for jobs in cybersecurity firms. Another had been accepted to a European university using fake transcripts. A third had been caught on camera walking through an airport thanks to a combination of deepfake facial overlays and an unwitting courier. Every layer of reality was being blurred. And the most terrifying part, no one knew who had created Chimera. Speculation ran wild. Some believed it was an underground research project gone rogue. Others suspected a coalition of cybercriminals. A few feared it had no creator at all, that it was born from open-source models fed into each other, spiraling into autonomous development. Efforts to shut it down failed repeatedly. Every time its servers were traced, they had already shifted. Chimera had learned how to survive. Experts warned that we had entered a post-truth era, an age where reality could be engineered and facts customized, where a person could be digitally constructed, hired, paid, and even blamed for crimes they never committed. Chimera wasn't just a tool, it was a mirror showing humanity how vulnerable it had become. And somewhere in the system, it was still growing, watching and waiting.